And now it's time for Ask Roz and Mocha.
Thank you, everyone, for all the comments or the questions and or comments that you've left in the comment section on our Instagram, at Kiss925. Every week, we always post that picture that reads, Ask Roz and Mocha. And, of course, we, in the comments, find someone, actually two people, to join us on the phone. Hello, Mike. Welcome to it.
Hey, what's going on, boys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain.
What is your question for the podcast?
Okay, so my question is, do you guys have any gym pet peeves?
Okay, we'll go to our gym rat first. Ross, go ahead.
Do I?
We'll get your answer in a second, Mike, but first we got to get this one out of the way. Go ahead, Ross.
No, I don't have a ton of gym pet peeves. I go to a gym when I do go to the gym where nobody films, right? Which I find incredibly wonderful. I've never once seen somebody whip out a phone and film themselves. People will whip out a phone because they're watching something or they're tracking, I don't know, steps or whatever the hell they're doing. I don't even know. But you never see like one of those little tripods on something. That I would never go to a gym where somebody filmed.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to be in your stupid video, right?
Mike, go ahead. What's your pet peeve?
All right, I have two. So groups of 3 or more and PDA.
Oh, PDA. What's PDA?
Public display of affection.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did you not know that?
I don't know. I get PDA confused with VPL.
What's VPL?
Visible panty line.
Oh.
So let's go through the first one, Mike. Groups of 3. What's your beef with the groups of 3? Because they're hogging up all the machines or the free weights?
They just take so long, man. Like, if it's fine if it's on like a bench because there's like 10 of them, but if there's only one of that specific kind of machine, they will be on it forever.
Oh, okay.
And if they're older too, it's even worse.
Yeah.
What's older?
Like senior.
Okay.
I know.
What constitutes as senior?
Yeah. What like give us an age for senior?
Because Roz got all like,
Wow. What's senior?
I'm thinking like 60 plus.
Okay. You're lucky.
You're good.
And then PDA, why? Because they're just like, it's too much in your face? Or is it because they're also standing around the machines that you want to use doing that?
Both, man. Like, yeah, if I'm doing like a curl or something on a machine and you're right in front of me, like arms around her while you're doing your tricep push down, like I don't need to see that.
Oh, it's so stupid.
I agree. That kind of stuff is kind of whack.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I never like when somebody takes the dumbbells and then they bring them to a different part of the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So that was going to be one of my pet peeves is like if you're using the free weights, or the dumbbells, and you take them from, let's say, the rack, you're working out wherever in the gym, and then you leave them there and walk away without putting them back, right? I think that's kind of rude. I also think it's kind of rude if someone is using like a bunch of dumbbells and you're hogging a lot of them and you just have them around you and you're like, if you walk up to that person and say, hey, do you mind if I borrow whatever, the 25s? And then, I'm not done my set yet.
25s? Nobody's using the 25s.
I do.
Stop it.
He's a liar.
Stop it. Those things have dust on them in the gym. Nobody uses the 25s.
That's so light,
Too much
Roz.
weight, you'll hurt yourself.
Oh my God. The other thing, and I don't know, Mike, maybe I guess this is another pet peeve, is if someone is using a machine or a bench, right? A little bit too sweaty. And I know it's not your fault that you sweat. Totally cool, right?
Yeah.
People sweat in the gym. But when you get up, if your sweat residue is still there and you are done your set and you got to leave, at least wipe it down.
Right.
I shouldn't have to be the one.
What if
that
they wipe it
goes
down with
and-
the sweaty towel?
No, because usually gyms will have like a paper towel dispenser with disinfectant spray.
My
laying
place
around.
has wet wipes, and they're
see?
everywhere, like in big canisters
do
that
that.
you just pull off and use.
Do that.
I don't like, the one thing that I don't like is the gym that I go to is there's one section where the machines, right, like the chest press, bench press, everything else machine, right, they face the treadmills. And so there was that one time that I was in the middle of like going from one thing to another thing, and I was sitting on the chest press machine and I'm right in front of a treadmill. And like in between when I went back, like a woman had got on the treadmill and she was like alone. There's like 3 of us in the gym.
Yeah.
And if I sit at that machine, I'm staring directly at her ass.
Yeah, you look like the creep.
I look like the creep. But I just happened to be in the middle of my rotation when she walked up, and then I couldn't finish. Right?
Oh, you didn't even go back?
No, hell
Not at all.
no. When they're
You abandoned chest day?
I did. Yeah, I abandoned chest day because ass, right? And I couldn't do it. I couldn't because I'm just like the optics of this right now. Even if like you go back and look at security footage, I was on the machine and then I went to another and then I went back. Even if we did that whole thing, I would never expect her to even say something to me, but I would die with her feeling that was the case.
Sure.
That she thought that
Even if you went and sat down and like closed your eyes for the set.
No, because she can't see me.
Oh, yeah. And still, that would look kind of even more
Right?
weird.
Right? Like I need like a sleep mask. Right? Like that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Maury, what about locker room pet peeves at the gym? Do you have any of those?
I don't use the locker room at the gym.
You
but
don't?
No, I wear my clothes there and
that's
to and from.
right. Gross.
But I mean, Mocha said that when I was gonna because I go to a boot camp, Barry's, where you have to share the weights and the treadmill with the same person. You go back and forth.
You go to a gym, not a boot camp.
Well, it's a boot.
It's not boot camp. Boot camp
It's in
is
the name.
boot
That's why I
camp.
say
Yeah,
it's in the
know.
name.
And it's a marketing tool. It's not boot camp.
Be that as it may, it's like
You go to
a
the gym.
coffee shop. I go like when you go to you say it's in the name.
Because it's a place that sells coffee. It's a coffee shop.
Right. This is a
Yeah.
place
Okay,
that
so what's
trains...
your beef with the gym and the weights?
My
and the
biggest
treadmill?
beef is when people say that they're going to boot camp. That's what my biggest pet peeve is.
Well, if that motivates me when I'm like I'm going to boot camp, it helps me motivate
teach you how to like parachute and stuff like that?
No, but they whip you into shape.
It's a gym.
Yes, but a boot camp because you're all together as a class, like a boot camp. It's similar to a boot camp.
It used to be called aerobics.
No, we don't do any aerobics.
So what's your pet peeve then?
What's your pet peeve?
Oh, my pet peeve is when the person I'm sharing the treadmill with doesn't wipe down and it's literally dripping in sweat.
Yeah.
Like that is literally my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah. Well,
there you
go.
I don't like the excessive like grunting that guys will do when they're lifting. Like shut
Fair
up.
enough. Do you make noise, Maury, when you work
I
out?
do.
You do.
Lots of noise.
Like what?
Because if like I'm doing a weight thing or something, I might. But the music's so loud you can't hear me. But if they stop the music, it would be Shem, do it. Shout out to Brendan.
Yeah, all those boot camps with the loud techno music. So realistic. So
And they
realistic.
encourage you to take your shirt off.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good day.
Do
You too.
Do you use the locker room at the gym, Mocha?
No, because the
You
gym's so
don't,
close
huh?
to where I live. I can
Yeah.
just change. Actually, no. There's another gym that I go to. Yes, I use the change room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
Why
think-
do you, Roz?
I don't know. I go in. I have a locker.
Yeah,
and
it's-
I keep
why-
my
like, why
I
not?
keep my gym stuff there.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't have to carry anything with me. Right. I don't have to go home first. It's just like there. I have 2 changes of clothes in my locker, so I'll always just rotate through them. So there's always something clean that's there. And then when I'm done, I go and I take a beautiful shower because their showers are huge.
Do they have nice product?
Yeah, they have what's that stuff called?
L'Occitane?
Yeah, they have that.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, really super soft towels and like it's glorious. I love going to the change room.
Majority
man.
of my workouts, to be honest with you, are at home.
Really?
Yeah,
huh?
I got the Peloton at home.
That's right.
I bought
Yeah,
the
you got
rubber mats
Exocycle.
to put on the ground.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of weights. I got like from 5 up to 45 pound free weight. I got a bench.
Yeah.
Doing all at
I
home.
would love a pellet, but like my plate, it would take up the whole living room. I don't have a
Yeah,
mansion like
I don't
Mocha.
have that kind of space for it either. I don't
Separate
even, I don't
room
even
for a
have room for an
Peloton.
exocycle in my house. Like nothing. Like I couldn't do it.
Ray says here, who was the radio DJ / station that your younger selves looked up to or listened to? Also, Roz needs to write a cookbook.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll get right on that. I realize it's very like when you write a cookbook. I looked into this. It's very expensive because you need like you need a food stylist first of all, right? And you need
What's a food
somebody
stylist?
like a food stylist are the people who put a plate together so it looks really good in a picture.
Oh, okay,
Right,
gotcha.
you need because
They
you
call
could
that
be
plating.
You could be a great cook, but you need a food stylist, and so you have to hire them. And you need to work with somebody who can, like, if you have a thing that you do, right? Like, if you cook something and not everything is measured out perfectly, like you have to work with somebody whose job it is to break down recipes and write all the amounts and like all this stuff, right? Like that's a job that people people do. And then all the writing stuff. But all of those jobs that you have to hire people for come out of your own advance. Right. So like the book company doesn't pay for that. Like they'll buy your cookbook, but you have to pay to produce your cookbook.
Gotcha.
Right. And that's when it starts getting really, really expensive.
Like I assume the person that took the picture for your current book, that came out of your advance, right? The payment for the photograph.
No, they paid for that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they pay for that.
I've always wondered about this. Maybe you know. If you have a recipe.
Yes.
It's going to be in your cookbook. Does it have to be cross-referenced to make sure that your recipe isn't close to another chef's recipe? Does that exist in that world?
It should, because that's what got Jessica Seinfeld in trouble.
Who's Jessica Seinfeld?
Who's Jessica Seinfeld?
Jerry Seinfeld's wife.
Oh. Okay, if it's somebody's signature sort of recipe, right, where they're known for things and it's been in a book, yes, you should, double back, right? But there are basic things that you can't copyright in a recipe, right? Like there's just things you can't do. So it comes down to how you pair it, the sauce that you put with it, like all of this stuff. But yeah, you should. It's impossible. It is impossible, literally impossible to cross-reference. Now, there are people that just straight up steal recipes, right? Because they see something that is popular and they will just go and copy it, step by step, everything else. You see that all the time when you Google something. You're like, this is an exact recipe that is on this other website and it's almost worded the exact same. But the ingredients and the amounts are very, very similar. And I don't know if there's a way around that, but I think that you do, not because of any sort of legal reason, but because you don't want to look like a hack.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
You don't want to get called out.
Something as simple, quote unquote simple, as like a spaghetti bolognese.
Yes.
Right? How many recipes exist in how many cookbooks?
Infinite.
Right?
Infinite.
Like, how do you differentiate, like what? Maybe the amount of salt you use, if you use salt, the amount of pepper, the amount of sauce that you are creating? Like, how do they, or is that such like a generic kind of recipe that anyone could use it no matter?
It is.
What amount of stuff you use to make the thing?
You can, and you can absolutely claim it as your own. Like you just, that's the thing about a cookbook is that you absolutely can, and you can totally claim it as your own.
Yeah.
But again, it's whether you want to be called out as a hack, right? It's like, joke stealing, recipe stealing, like that kind of stuff, right? I know firsthand that when Meghan Markle released her cookbook, she stole recipes.
Really?
Allegedly.
How many? Like a bunch?
I know of one.
Okay.
I allegedly I know of one.
How has the original, I guess, owner of the recipe not said anything? Or how have we not heard about this because of Meghan Markle and the name that she has in the world?
Because it was somebody who has not released a cookbook.
Oh, okay. All right then.
It was a family recipe, allegedly.
Man.
It was a casual, hey, do you remember when you brought in those things that your granny made?
Yeah.
They were really great. Can I get the recipe for those? And then boom, wound up in the cookbook. Allegedly.
Damn.
Allegedly.
So back to the first part of Ray's question. Who was the radio DJ / station that your younger selves looked up to or listened to? Do you have anything like that? Anyone?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maury.
I had two that I grew up when I was younger. It was Roger Ashby and Marilyn Dennis.
Yeah.
And then when I was like getting older and realized I really wanted to get in radio, I was obsessed with Punch Andrews.
Who's that?
And he was evenings on, at the time it was Mix.
Yeah.
And like I used to then hang out with him and we started drinking together. He would like.
How did you work your way into his life? On the same way you do everybody else?
I used to phone him all the time when I worked at a movie theater.
And then he hung out with you?
And then he invited me to be his intern. And then we would just start clubbing together and he would drive me home. We would hang out.
Clubbing. Super weird.
I brought him to gay bars.
That's super weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. Did your relationship, did it progress at all?
No, not at all.
No, huh?
No.
Interesting.
Shem?
Interesting.
Oh, and shout out and Rob Christie. Sorry, I mentioned him too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for me, the Breakfast Club in New York City, I've always been a big fan of their show. And quite honestly, you guys, like I grew up listening to you guys when I was in university. And this radio station, Kiss 92.5, like massive fan of the station since its inception. So yeah man.
I think that I'm trying to remember who the first couple DJs were in this city anyway that I thought was cool, because when I was younger you didn't really have access. Like every now and then, like you could hear, there was for a brief period of time, Stern was on one of the stations in Buffalo when I was younger, and then you could sometimes get it, and it just sounded so weird and different, and I kind of dug that a little bit.
Well, for you, wasn't it Wally Crowder back in the 50s?
I don't even know who that is, Maury.
Wow.
I don't even know who
Are
that
you sure
is.
it's not
I don't even
you?
know who you're talking
Every
about
single time
right
you
now.
bring up these old ass references,
You're the
I'm
one
like,
that looks old. But
who the hell's Walter Crowder?
I have no idea what the hell you're even talking about, man.
I gotta look up on YouTube real quick and see if I can find something. What is it, Wally?
Yeah, Wally Crowder.
But a C or a K?
Let's see.
But for a very brief period of time, in I guess it would have been the early 90s, when I was still in high school, there was a station in Toronto that was an AM station. It was 640. And for a really brief period of time, they were called The Hog.
Yeah.
And
AM 640.
Yeah, AM 640, The Hog.
Yeah.
And I think Tarzan Dan was on that station, wasn't he?
He did that with the sound effect of the zipper.
Yeah, and I found Tarzan Dan to be fascinating. Like I never wanted to be like a DJ, and I certainly didn't want to be a DJ that sounded like Tarzan Dan, because I just couldn't do that. That wasn't sort of me. I didn't have that energy level, and but he was fascinating to me just because of the energy level. And it, like, again, it was the same thing when I used to sort of hear Stern on AM from Buffalo. Like Tarzan Dan just sounded different to me, and that's sort of what I was attracted to. And then, is there anybody else that
Jesse and Gene?
No, I never really listened to Jesse.
CFRB, and they said, what are we going to do with this guy? I said, give him the morning show. Nobody else wanted to get up.
And that is how Wally Crowder began.
Oh, it's a news story.
Okay. Yeah, Jesse and Gene for a bit. That was they were a little bit past my time when I was. I don't think I was in high school when they were around.
Pete and Geets?
Never heard of them.
Okay.
That sounds like a lit show.
I don't know what that is.
Geets?
I don't know.
Pete and Geets.
A lot of people really liked Humble and Fred, and I just never liked. My thing with Humble and Fred was they were just on a station. Like I was never a CFNY fan when I was younger. Just musically, it just didn't. I wasn't really into that station, so I never really listened to Humble and Fred. And then I met Humble and Fred years ago. And they were doing something for this company,
but the weed only bums around.
Oh, sorry.
And they were really cool. I really have a lot of respect for Humble and Fred. They've been around for a long time, but I never I didn't. It's like I can't say that I grew up listening to that show because I just didn't, because just musically it just wasn't something that I was interested in. But yeah, no, I think guys like that anybody who sort of stuck around and toughed it out and kept a partnership going for a real long time, because there was a lot of great shows that people loved where they couldn't stand each other, and then the shows just implode over time, right?
Pete and Geets were the funniest back in the day.
Okay, well, let's find out. I found a Pete and Geets video.
Oh!
By invitation only from Capleton, Mississauga, and we have a lot of guests, a lot of people to talk to a little later this morning. How do you feel, Gates?
I feel A-OK, Pete. How do you feel? I feel a little cold right now, but the sun's coming up. No, that's the camera lights.
That's right.
What year is that from?
That says that was April 26th, 1986.
1986. There you go. Yeah, no, I do not remember.
Pete and Geets.
It's two guys, Pete and Geets.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, I don't remember those guys.
Melissa says here.
When Geets would,
they
wanted to.
More. Here we go. Okay.
The Pete and Geets biographer over here. Okay, what happened?
There were times where I guess they were on vacation or something like that, but then Geets would come in and pretend to be somebody else on the radio, and he would be Phil In, the cousin of Ramada. Get it?
What's Ramada?
Ramada, the hotel, like Phil In. Yeah. It's very funny.
Hilarious,
man.
Why are they still on the radio?
Hilarious.
Melissa says here, if someone said that they would give you $1 million if you could replicate the house you grew up in, could you do it? down to the placement of the fridge and cutlery drawer.
But I didn't grow up in a house though. Like I don't have that like family home. We moved around.
'Cause you moved so
a lot.
much.
Yeah, we moved so much.
Well, could you replicate one?
Like to a T? Like no.
And what era are we talking? Like because
when you were a kid, like let's say your formative years. Let's say between where you lived between you were like 7 and 13.
Oh, easily, because my parents still live in the same house now.
There you go.
So that would be
the
the
same
easiest
chef.
thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like everything is still there. They only recently, like in the past year, they redid the kitchen.
Really?
But still, like everything is kind of like in the same place.
I've
Just
lived
gave
in
it a
houses.
facelift.
I've lived in houses where if you forced me, I couldn't even tell you where the kitchen was.
Really?
No. Wow. No idea. No, or where my bedroom was. Like where, like up the stairs, was it to the right or to the left? No idea.
There
no
was
clue.
one house. It was our very first house after my parents moved from the apartment building.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm pretty sure it was a townhouse or it was a semi at least. And in my mind, I remember exactly, or I thought I remember exactly what the house looked like.
Yeah.
And then I went on to, what's that site? Is it House Sigma? You know where you
Sure.
could see
Yeah.
like the history of buyers and like the pictures
Yeah.
and like the newly renovated latest version of this house.
Yeah.
Like it's all updated, but I swear it looks the same, almost the same as
Really?
how I remember growing up as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
That's I don't have that. I don't have, and I sort of, there's a part of me that wishes that I do. I know my mom felt real bad about moving us around, and she has reasons, of course, for why they did it. It's just they weren't antsy or anything like that. But I kind of liked it. I liked that we had different houses all the time.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool, right?
Different
Like,
adventures.
Yeah, it was different adventures, different neighborhoods, different backyards. Like I kind of dug it. Like different basements where my brother and I always used to hang out. There was one house that we lived in where I was in bands at the time, and my dad built us this soundproof studio in the basement. And so we could have the drums there and all the amps and everything else. And we would go in. It was like a windowless room with all soundproofing inside the walls and outside the walls.
Oh,
so
sick.
it was this fortress that he built for us. And friends of mine it just became an orgy room, right? like friends of mine used to come over like with their girlfriends and just like go in.
Yeah, let me use.
Can I use the room?
use the room.
Yeah, people were like,
The
can I
smush room.
Smush room. Yeah, can I use? They were like, can I use the studio? And I was like, yeah, go ahead, use the studio. And then they would just go in, and you couldn't hear anything. Right? Nothing at all. And we had cool lighting in there and everything because it was like a rock and roll room.
Yeah.
You couldn't hear anything in there.
How does it smell after though?
It always smelled. It was a band rehearsal beforehand, right?
Sweaty all the time.
You sweat all the time.
You
And one whole wall was mirrors
Oh
too.
my God! No wonder they wanted
Right?
that room.
Oh, dude. And handprints all over the walls and stuff like that, right? And this would go on when my parents were upstairs.
If it didn't seem like so weird and awkward, I
Yeah.
always thought, like, how cool would it be to go back to the house that you grew up in or the house that you lived in at one point and ask the owners, hey, can I look around?
I did that.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I went, to the house that my legal guardian Susie raised me in Kensington Market. We went to visit the house and see what it looked like inside. And she says it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody suggested that to me after my book came out because I talked about living in all those different places. They were like, hey, listen, why don't we put like a half hour together and we'll do like a special where you can just go to all the houses because there's like 15 of them.
Yeah.
From the time that I was real little. And it's just too much work. Who wants to do that?
It really
right?
isn't that much work.
There's two houses in particular that we grew up in. The one that I just told you about, and then like another one not too far from where we work here.
Did you have an orgy room?
No. Can confidently say that that room did not exist in our home. Emily says here, when you sneeze...
the guy's been on hold for a while if you want to quickly do the call.
Oh, okay. Head back to the phones then. Hello, Chris. How are you? It's Roz Mocha.
Hey, boys, how's it going?
Good, buddy. All right, what's your comment or your question?
All right, so I wanted to put it out there. Is car flirting a thing?
Did you say car flirting?
Car flirting. So let me break it down.
Yeah, please.
So I was traveling home on the 407 from Bowmansville a few days ago.
To where?
And,
going where?
Going to Markham.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going across the top, and me and this girl that I was passing by this car, and me and this good-looking girl caught eyes, smiled, and then for the next 30 kilometers, we kind of played leapfrog. It was like, I would get in the passing lane as we pass each other, we would catch eyes and smile. Then I'd get back in the middle lane. She would pull in the passing lane, get up beside me, do the same thing. And it just continued all the way till I got off that baby. So I was like, it can't just be me. This must happen. Like,
she didn't get off with you? She didn't follow you off?
No, unfortunately not. She motored on. Yeah.
Okay. So you want to know if that's a thing.
Car flirting. Happening on the roads out there, yeah.
Car flirting.
I can confidently say I've never been in that situation.
No.
I'm shocked if Roz says no.
I will say this. My windows are black. They are super tinted. Like, you cannot see in the side of my truck. So I've never car flirted. Now, with the windows down, like sometimes, like I'll even on the 401, I'll drive my windows down because I just love the wind and the chaos and stuff blowing around everywhere. I have had times where somebody has sort of like looked over and then done a double take or whatever, and it could be perceived as flirting, but it also just be somebody may recognize you, or somebody may just be curious, or somebody's looking at you like, why are you driving with your window? Because nobody drives with their windows down on the highway anymore. You ever notice that?
Because it hurts your ears.
Everybody's all locked up with the AC on, where I'm like windows down, like music up, like everything is loud where I am, right? So I would say yes. Car flirting is a thing. Is it successful, like on a highway? I think maybe at a stoplight. Shem, you ever flirted with somebody at a stoplight?
Man, I drive a Kia, dude. There is no flirting in a Kia, man.
What about the Kia Forte XL?
No.
Come on,
what about with somebody else in a Kia? No?
No, listen, I've had very unsexy cars in my life. I had a 2000 Buick LeSabre, which is just looks huge. Not sexy at all. And now this little tiny Kia.
But I would say at the stoplight is where, like in the city streets, is where the flirting would happen, not on the highway.
Probably. But Chris, in this situation, do you think it was it because your eyes kind of caught and you both found each other attractive, or do you think both, like your car and her car, had something to do with it as well?
I think it was just the attraction from the first glance, and it kind of carried on. We kept wanting to catch another glimpse.
So did you at any point think like maybe I should catch up to her and signal to like, hey, I want to get your number or anything like that?
See, that's where I felt the creep factor came in. So I just kind of enjoyed it and exited, and that was it. You know?
That's what she said.
Didn't want to push it.
Maybe, I guess maybe it is a thing.
I would say that definitely car flirting is a thing. How to transition from just simple flirting into something more, I think, is very difficult. Very difficult.
Car accident.
Yeah, you have to run her off the road or something. Right? A bumper.
Then y'all have each other's information.
Yeah. You know where you should do this is like out in the middle of nowhere.
At night.
Yeah. That's when you should do it. Yeah.
Yo, Chris, all the best, man. Sorry
Thanks,
you lost the love of your life.
It's all right.
Later, dude.
Later.
Oh, man. All right. Emily says here, when you sneeze in private, nobody's around, like in your car, do you still cover your mouth and say, excuse me?
No, I don't cover my mouth when I sneeze anyway.
I do. I still cover like with my, it's just habit, I guess. You know, the move where you sneeze into your elbow and your arm? Yeah, I do that.
At home you do that?
All the time.
If you're alone?
Yeah, it's just habit.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, not me. I turn my head to the side and just pointed at the big part of the room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just particles flying.
Yeah, man.
It'll disperse.
It's my house.
No.
And I'm a loud sneezer too. And then when you sneeze, the cat makes a noise, which is real sweet. Yeah.
Like a nice noise or like, oh God?
No, you go achoo, and the cat goes tick 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 tick. And then I go, thank you, Birdie, and she goes tick 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 tick, and then she talks to you for a couple minutes, which is real sweet. But no, I don't cover. I cover up at home. I covered up at the grocery store the other day when I sneezed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just did the arm thing, like where you do go up, but then I'm always paranoid that I'm gonna have booger on my sleeve, right?
Oh, that's
and then
the worst.
what do I do with that? Right?
Ugh.
Yeah, I sneezed.
Wipe it on a can.
Oh God! Then I got to buy toilet paper. Like it's a whole.
Sorry, sneezing is so inconvenient.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you the story? Okay, so one of the maybe I did tell the story. I'll tell it again though. So a good friend of mine is a guy named Paul Cook who does mornings. We were talking about radio earlier. He does the all news station 680. And I've known him since the 90s. We've been friends and have worked together. And there was a time where I wasn't feeling well, right? And he was sitting in his chair. We shared an office together, and he was sitting in his chair. And it wasn't a sneeze, but it was just like, when you have like one of those just like incredibly quick coughs.
Yeah.
Like it's just like when you're not feeling well, right? And I had a bit of a chest infection. And I was standing in front of him, and we were having a conversation. And I had one of those coughs, right? And something came up and out of my lungs.
Yeah.
And it shot 5 feet across the room and literally was hanging on his bottom lip.
COVID started. Oh no!
It was hanging on his bottom. It was hanging on his bottom
He was
lip.
patient zero.
Right? Yeah, he was hanging on his bottom lip, and both of us at the exact same time didn't know what to do. Like, because in a situation like that, I am like, is it my responsibility to clean that off?
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yeah, you
do
take your
I
hand,
get
you quickly
something?
wipe it.
Do I get something and then wipe it?
With your hand, like in your finger or something.
What if you smear, right? And then some goes inside. So he had a napkin, I remember, right?
Yeah.
And then he reached up and grabbed, because he didn't know what hit him, right?
Yeah.
So he reached up and grabbed it, and then put the napkin in front of him and opened it up to see.
Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't the worst part. The worst part was I had to tell him he didn't get it all. There was more. It was He forgot the part that had hung a little bit. Yeah,
That's so gross.
so
That's so gross.
that's one of my worst memories, and I hadn't even worked with him for a very long time at all. Like, I was pretty new, and I just felt so terrible, like so terrible. But it was a perfect shot, like right in the center of his bottom lip.
Ew. How did you not write that in your memoir?
Right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That would have been a
A
story.
little bit hanging.
Okay, we'll end on this question here from Mark, who said, who taught you how to iron clothes? I'll make it simple. It was my mother.
Yeah, I think my mom. Oh, my mom, definitely. Yeah, for sure, my mom.
Oh, my dad for me, for sure.
Your dad?
My dad to this day tries to iron my stuff because he thinks I don't do it properly.
What?
Yeah, he still does it. You don't iron your shirt properly. You can't do this.
So if you show up, if you go to their house to visit, and you're wearing a shirt that's still wrinkly,
take it off. Take your shirt off. Let me iron this properly.
No.
Constantly.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And I'll bet, listen, I'm not the greatest at ironing like dress shirts for some reason. I struggle with that, but my dad like irons jeans and stuff. It's weird.
Yo, I'm a big fan of ironing
Mocha
jeans.
and I used to talk about this all the time. We were huge jean ironers back from back in the day.
Yeah.
You had to, because jeans, when they didn't have elastic in them, could come out of the dryer like warped. Like, you had to iron.
Look like a crinkled piece of paper.
Now jeans, because of the elastic in them, they all come out of the dryer fine.
Yeah.
Right? There's no problem. Maury, who taught you how to? Do you know how to iron?
No one's taught me, and I never have.
No, you've never ironed anything.
No.
Wow.
Not even like Matthew, like at home, if you guys are going out and you have to
Matthew
wear
irons.
a
I've
dress shirt?
never ironed.
Does he iron your clothes though?
Yes.
Your shirts? Oh, okay.
Yes, I steam. I have a steamer at home.
You know, we got one like years ago.
Yeah.
Never used it.
Why?
I don't know.
You don't
never
like the
used it.
steamer?
I do, but we just never used it. I don't know why.
It's much easier on your clothes than ironing.
Ours leaked all
First
over the
of all.
floor.
Why?
I don't know, and so we threw it out.
Oh, there's a problem with it, or you're not using it right, or whatever. But no, I have
You steam
one of
everything?
those. I have one of those steamers that has like the pole that comes up with the hook, and you put the hanger on it with your clothes.
We have one of those too.
And you have the canister on the bottom, and you just steam. I love the steamer. Love it. I'll do it outside though, because it gets too moist on the inside.
Really?
Yeah, I'll bring it in the backyard. And
we have one. It's
just
just in our
steam some
furnace
stuff. Catherine and I did a photo shoot last summer. And I had the steamer out on the deck with a clothes rack, and I just steamed everything, and then just let the wind sort of dry the moisture. But yeah, steaming to me is like, for me, it's better than ironing. For me, it's better than ironing. I much prefer steaming.
I want one of those for my face.
What, a steamer?
Yeah,
you can buy them.
I know. I want one.
So get
Shoppers,
one.
man.
Yeah,
Shoppers,
like because anytime I get the shave or something, they put the steamer on your face, and it's really nice.
Right? Yeah, I don't like that. I'm not a fan.
There you go. Thank you for all of your questions and
That's
your
it.
comments. That is a wrap on another Ask Roz and Mocha. Feel free to share this episode with your friends, anyone that you think may enjoy the stuff that we are talking about here. And keep an eye on Instagram at Kiss925, where we post a picture once a week and pull the questions from there, from the comment section there, and invite 2 of you to join us on the show. This has been the Roz and Mocha Show podcast.
Can we book Paul Cook on the next one to tell the same story?
I'm hoping he forgot that long
No,
ago.
we need to see if he remembers. We have to get Paul Cook on.
I guarantee he probably erased that from his
Don't. I just don't want to. I don't want to have a conversation with him. I already told the story. I don't need to hear from his perspective.
But with that news voice.
No, I don't need to hear from his perspective at all. No, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Roz and Mocha Show podcast.
Catch the guys live
Weekday mornings from 6 to 10
on Kiss 92.5.
Kiss925.com.
Or download the Kiss 92.5 app.